Okay, here's step 3. We're actually going to build the challenge. If you want to take the challenge, awesome. This is totally voluntary. It's really for you. What I encourage you to do is pick at least 3 capacity and 3 production behaviors that you're going to try to consistently do every single week. It's not that some behaviors aren't still highly effective if they're monthly. It's that I really believe for something to become a powerful routine in your life, it's something you need to see at least every week. And I would encourage you have at least one thing that you're going to try to do every day. So what are these things? Well, on the capacity side, they could be any sort of behavior that drives your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, or financial health. So this could be what time you're going to get to bed. You could say, I want to get 8 hours of sleep. I would just tell you, make it as actionable as possible. Turn the lights out by 10:30. Something like that is more actionable. It's a stronger leading indicator. If it's mental, emotional, spiritual, it could be, I want to have some quiet time. I want to write out a gratitude. I want to call someone, a close friend, twice a week. Just something that's going to get you on track. I'm going to check in and update my budget. These are the kind of things that will lead to great outcomes. They are restorative. I haven't really mentioned working out. You probably can't work out too much. I mean, obviously you've got to be at your doctor's discretion and physically capable, but the body is meant to move. So these are things that are going to show up at work. Now on the production side, we've introduced the growth equation. Examples here might be, I am going to try to identify or contact a certain number of new people. That could be through LinkedIn, that could be through email, that could be personal introductions or whatever. Maybe I want to take relationships deeper. I'm going to take someone to lunch every week. I'm going to reach out and connect with some people. When you get to organization, a key thing here is, how do I make sure I'm doing the most important things each day? So something like, I'm going to have my to-do list written by 8 a.m. Or I'm going to knock out the 3 of the most important things on my task list every day. But you want to make it specific so it's very clear whether you did it or not. Work is just, what is the main thing you get paid to do? And so that might be, again, it could be that you're making calls, resolving cases, writing code, generating emails, whatever it is. If you can break it down into a unit of measure, make it weekly or make it daily, and then check, am I doing enough of my core hard work to achieve the results that I want to achieve? Thinking might be like reading. It might be learning. The 1% higher could be anything. The one that I often use is writing thank you notes. Am I consistently doing that? If I do it once a year, I'm really not expressing a whole lot of gratitude. If I want to be known as someone who's grateful or connected or deepening those relationships, my 1% higher might be, hey, I'm going to send out a thank you note each week, or maybe one per day. All right, so the first thing is to identify your actions. Next, you need to define the target number of reps and the weight that you want to put on those actions each week, so that they add up to 100 points total for the week. Now I'm going to flip over to the personal scorecard and show you how to do this in just a second. I'll go ahead and do that now. Get on the personal scorecard. And what you see, if you're opening up one of these personal scorecards, there's a tab for each month. There's also a tab for goals. If you want to set some goals, that's awesome. Just know that the goals don't get done unless you're doing the actions. So let's say it's the beginning of Q4, and I come up with a couple of actions. Let's say my capacity actions are going to be bed by 10:30, P, not A. I'm going to run 2 miles, and I'm going to, I usually say watch out for don'ts. But in this case, one of the things maybe I'm going to try to do is limit my caffeine intake. So let's say limit caffeine to 12 ounces. That's what I commonly do. So it's okay if I have a cup of coffee. It's okay if I have a Coke or something every once in a while, but that should be kind of special, not something every other hour. Now, the target. Target is the number of times per week. So bed by 10:30, let's say I want to do that 4 days a week, run 2 miles. I want to do that 3 days a week, limit my caffeine intake. I'm going to say 5 days a week. Okay, so good. So far, so good. Now I want to weight them. Weighting is basically say, how hard is this thing for you? Or how many points do you want to make it worth out of 100? So if I'm not sure, you can also just build this by sort of trial and error. Let's say I thought, getting to bed on time is pretty tough for me. I'm going to say I'm going to give myself 5 points each time I do that. I'm going to run. That's tough. I'll say that's worth 5. And maybe the caffeine's a little easier. Let's see how that works out. Well, If I come over here, which this is what you're going to do each day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're going to come in and put in, did I do this thing or not? Or how many times did I do it? So did I get to bed by 10:30 on Monday? Yes. Tuesday? Yes. Wednesday? No. Thursday? Yes. Let's say I did on Friday. Then that tells you that your 4 attempts, and I achieved my target. I did it 4 times at 5 points each, was worth a total of 20 points for the week. Now, when we're setting it up, you can kind of cheat. Actually, when you're setting it up, just come over here and put the total target here. We're going to try to do that 4 times, this one 3 times, and this one 5. And then look at your total points. And you're like, ooh, that doesn't add up to 100. So I'm going to go back and adjust the weighting. Let's make these worth 10 and 10 and 5. Ooh, I'm close. Now it's worth 95. Let's see. I think the hardest thing for me is going to be the bedtime. So let me add a couple of points to that one. Too high. And so you kind of get the idea. Whoops, I really overdid that one. So you just play with it a little bit until you get this to total 100 for doing your target number of actions. This is why years ago we built an app to do this. The app has since died, so we're having to do it on Excel. But anyway, it's easy. Once you have it set up, you're good to go. You do the same thing with production. You put a few habits in here. You identify a target. You weight them. Then you test your weighting and see if it adds up to 100. Adjust the targets or the weights until you get it to add up to 100, and you're good to go. So here's what I actually have set up. It's Q3. This is what mine really looks like. I've got a breathing exercise, jogging, stretching, strength, eating a smaller dinner, flossing, and lights out. You can see mine is maybe more habits than you want to do. Again, if you start out with just 3, that's totally fine. I would not go crazy starting out. But once you get it where you like it, what I would say is you select this whole thing, copy it. And if you're in a brand new sheet, come up here, paste it in, scroll down, put it in for week 2, week 3. And now you're about to see something that is very important. You're going to try to do these same behaviors for the whole quarter. You don't do this every week. You don't come up with like a to-do list. No, these are meant to be rituals and habits. So we're going to paste them in for all 12 weeks. And that way, each week, you just come in, you put in, okay, yep, I did this one on, Tuesday and Thursday. I jogged on Wednesday and Friday and Sunday. It takes maybe 30 seconds to fill it out. I recommend just updating it once a day if you think of it. If you forget and you do it the next day, you can always come back. But basically, you just take a second, you update this, you get your total score, and then the next week, you'll come in, scroll down, and start fresh on the next week. All right, hopefully that makes sense. The last thing you're going to do is take your total score. So in this case, let's say it was, I'm just going to put in something to give me some numbers. Let's say it was 22 capacity and 70 production. Now I come over to the team shared dashboard, and each week I just come in and put in my score. So my capacity score here for this week, it wasn't, but let's say it was 22 and 70. If we look at past quarters, you can kind of see what this looks like as the team fills out their things. And what we do is just check in with each other once a week for encouragement. And if you want, you can leave little notes down here below each other's scores. And ultimately, you want to just encourage each other to keep going. That is kind of the last thing I'll touch on here is, again, we said you're going to copy and paste your actions and target reps and weights into every week of the challenge. You're going to log your reps each week. And then at the end of the week, you take your total capacity, your total production score, and put them on the shared dashboard. This is the one that everyone can see. Again, no one can see your personal scorecard. They can't see what you're doing. They just see the shared dashboard. And I would just encourage you is think about joining one of the weekly huddles. The last thing is if you fall off, and let's say you don't do it 1 week, no problem. 2 weeks, no problem. Although hopefully your group leader is reaching out to you to see if you're okay. 3 weeks or 4 weeks, well, actually, this can become a problem. So if somebody has not scored for 4 weeks and they haven't responded and they've just kind of gone off the rails, we will tell the group leader, go ahead and take that person off the dashboard. The reason that we found when we studied groups is when one person checks out and quits, it has a tendency to spread. So for the sake of the group, if one person in the group has checked out, that's totally okay. We certainly care about that person. If that's you, we care about you. You're welcome to come back anytime, but we're going to go ahead and take you off the scoreboard. So the only thing we see typically on the scoreboard is going to be people who are actively doing it. And you'll see the same is true here. Yes, there may have been somebody in here who checked out during that time. We went ahead, if they were gone for a month or more, we would pull them off of the dashboard. Again, not meant to be punitive. You can add them back anytime. And of course, the whole idea is to encourage their growth and development. But if they stay there and they're not active, it has a tendency to spread. All right, I hope that is helpful. I am going to do things like share the recording, share the spreadsheets, the links, etc. In our corporate group, Joanna Altamari, she runs a Teams channel, and we'll add people in if you're part of our group. If you're doing your own group, I encourage you to think about creating your own Teams channel and a place where your group can communicate with each other. And then just set up your weekly accountability call to check in with each other. All right, I hope that is helpful. I hope these habits are going to change your life. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. Thanks a lot.